It is week 4 of the college football season, and this is the Mac and Murray College Football Show. We appreciate you joining us as we get ready for another exciting week of college football. If you haven't yet, go like, subscribe. Really, the goal is to get to 30K. Come on, baby. And we got a lot of good stuff that's come out this week. More to come. Reviews, QB reviews. I'm sure Emac's going to do a little Clemson review, figure out what the heck's going on with their offense. So a lot of good stuff. We appreciate the love and support. Also go follow us on social at the Mac and Murray CFB show. Emac, week 4 is here already.
Let's
How
go.
you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling like this thing is flying too freaking fast, and we need to slow it down, calm it down. Maybe everybody just take a bye week, I don't know, but some big dog matchups, man. This is going to be a fun show today, a jam-packed show, and, it's just continuing to shape that outlook of where we're going and where this season is going. It's funny, our top 15, like every week, boom, there's 3 new teams, and, they're just going to keep rotating in. But guess what? We reward teams that win. We don't have all this preseason brand bias that you see in the AP poll. If you're winning and you're playing well, we're wiping the slate relatively clean, and we understand what that looks like. And there should be dramatic changes each and every week, and there have been. So I love it, man. College football has been fun. It's been good to watch, and we've got another freaking loaded weekend here starting in Norman, Oklahoma, baby.
Let's go. And Norman getting 2 big-time games to start the season. They just hosted Michigan a couple weeks ago. Now they get, obviously the big storyline, they get their former quarterback and Jackson Arnold making his return. It's just so funny because I had the Tulane Duke game this past weekend. Obviously, Tulane's quarterback, Darian Mensah, from a year ago, leaves to go to Duke, gets paid all this money, goes back to Tulane, and they lose the football game.
Yeah.
Really crazy. And this is obviously a different situation. Jackson Arnold really didn't leave for the money.
Sure.
It necessarily wasn't completely forced out. I think this was, to me, from talking with our boy Gabe Eicher this offseason and just talking to other people, it was kind of one of those feelings of almost like a Georgia Carson Beck. Everyone kind of just needed to go their own ways. It was healthy for everyone. It was healthy for Oklahoma to move on and get their new quarterback, which they believe, obviously, they had a home run with John Mateer. It was healthy for Jackson Arnold, the big-time 5-star recruit, to kind of restart on his career, go somewhere new, and then obviously he picked Auburn as that destination. So I don't think there's any of this hatred, ill will that I kind of maybe felt a little bit Tulane last week, where it's like, dude, our boy left us to go get paid $8 million. We kind of get it, but it still kind of sucks. I think both guys are in perfect situations, Oklahoma and Jackson Arnold. Am I wrong to think that there's no real big possible animosity on either side here, Emac?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it is a much different situation than what you dealt with and what Darian Mensah, quite frankly, was dealing with when he went back home to Tulane there. But with that said, I'm sure there's going to be some weird feelings, for Jackson when he's walking in there on the visitor tunnel, on the visitor side. And just how is he received? Is he booed? Probably, by those fans.
Because Mensah was booed. Mensah was booed.
No question. No question he was.
But this is such a different thing from an Oklahoma fan perspective. Like, are you pissed at Jackson Arnold?
Right. That's what I'm interested to see. But then also from the coaching side of it, they know his weaknesses. They know everything about that guy. And so I'm really interested just to see schematically, how do they dial it up? What are they going to try to do? Obviously, they know he's a super athlete. They've seen the success that Auburn has had running the football. And, do they challenge that? Do they either lure him into it or challenge that, load up the box and say, hey, beat us with your arm. All those great receivers you have, which I think they're loaded. Let's see if you can get it to them. Let's see what you're able to do there. I'm fascinated to see that. I'm thinking the game plan going to be eerily similar to what it was of Michigan, just because of that big, nasty offensive line wanting to run the football and us saying we're bigger, badder, stronger from the Oklahoma standpoint. Let's see. Let's see what you got over there.
Well, I think the biggest matchup, first of all, I want to hit Arnold real quick. One more thing before we start doing these individual matchups. I think for him in this game, if there is anyone that is a little bit more riled up of is it the Oklahoma fans to Jackson Arnold, or is it Jackson or his former teammates to him, or is it Jackson Arnold to Oklahoma? I think it is more on the Jackson Arnold side. Like,
for sure,
he's a passionate player. We've seen the way he's run the football at his time at Oklahoma to what he's done at Auburn. he has to play within himself and not try to do too much, because this is a game where I feel like he's going to want to try to do too much. He's going to want to try to lower his shoulder. He's going to try to want to get a couple extra yards, whatever it might
Mhm,
be. And that's when
mhm.
turnovers happen. As
Right.
a quarterback, there's such a balance of playing with that tenacity, that dog in you, but also being smart, taking care of your body, taking care of the football, not trying to be Superman. You have to play within the offense because it's you against Oklahoma's defense, not you against, hey, Oklahoma, you made a mistake by letting me go to Auburn. I think it's you can say all you want, but when the whistle's blown and that competitor comes out on you and your old girlfriend's over there looking good, you want to prove to him that you look pretty damn good yourself too.
Not the
And you
old
went in the offseason,
girlfriend.
got the six pack, and that, hey, I'm out here
Hey, she's
slaying as
under John
well.
Mateer's arm just looking at you.
Oh, yeah, just looking like, "I got it too, damn it." So, for Jackson Arnold, the message to him is play within yourself, man. Play within the offense. Don't try to be more, and do more than what you need to do. But the big matchup in this game, it's not Jackson Arnold to me. It's not John Mateer. It's in the trenches because I think both of these teams are really good in the trenches, especially Auburn's offensive line, which we've seen this year and we saw against Baylor. We know we've talked to Gabe and other Oklahoma people how good this defensive line is. That's where their bread and butter is right
Mhm.
now. That matchup, Auburn's O line, Oklahoma's D line. And when you look at great matchups like that, whether it's in the NFL last year with Philadelphia and Kansas City, or whatever matchup you want to say, from a defensive perspective, if you can play two high safeties and you can say, hey, we're going to give support against Eric Singleton, Cam Coleman, Malcolm Simmons, Horatio Fields, who's played well this year. We can give our corners some protection and know that we can still match up front and play a light box. That's how you have success. Oklahoma's built like that, but I don't think, EMAC, they've gone against an offensive line to Auburn standard that could still push you around with a mobile quarterback and get some yards on the ground.
I don't know, dude. Michigan's like that. They're built that way. You know, they're a
Yeah,
really
but they
good
don't got a running
program.
quarterback like Arnold, though.
Well, sure. Would you say
Yeah.
that Michigan's running backs are better though? I mean, what do you feel, where do you go? Because again, you're right. There's different matchups and when
Yes.
you have a running quarterback, what does that do for us up front as the offensive line? Well, that allows us, we have an extra hat so we can really focus on what's in front of you. So we have an extra guy for that linebacker. We don't maybe have to target outside the box and we can stay within that line of scrimmage and we can keep those double teams going a little bit longer, get to our second level a little bit faster because we're not going to a safety or to a wide linebacker or something of that nature. So you're right. It will be interesting from an angles perspective. Are they able to stay too high, knowing that that's probably going to happen? They're going to have that lead blocker as well. And then it's just a numbers game. And that's
Yeah.
why I'm kind of interested in how does Coach Venables attack this? Like, does he want to force the issue, loading the box, showing exotic looks, moving around so you're confusing, targeting, where we're going to go from a lineman perspective and a quarterback perspective, and say, hey, Jackson, we saw it for a couple of years. Beat us with your arm. Don't think you can do it. Let's see if he can do that. And
Mm.
that's what I would do. I'd light him up. I would shut
I
down the run
disagree.
and I'd say, let's see what that arm can do, buddy, because we never saw it here in Oklahoma.
I would still, because I don't think you wanna give up the explosive plays. I don't think you wanna go
I trust
one-on-one
my
with Cam
guys.
Coleman. I
I'm
don't
not
wanna
worried
go
about it.
one-on-one with Malcolm. I don't care how good you believe you are in the back end. Those receivers, I mean, it's the best receiving core probably in the country based on what we've seen so far this season. Like, they are so talented. They find creative ways to get, Eric Singleton the football in space. I do like the running backs, but I I would still go in with the mindset of what Baylor did, but knowing that we are way more physical up front and we can't stop the run game with a with a six-man box.
Mhm.
And until they prove that they are patient enough, and I think that's the one thing too when you talk to the coaching staff at Auburn, and then you go back and watch that game versus Baylor. Baylor said, "You're not patient enough to still run the football
Mhm.
over and over and over again." Eventually, that coach staff is gonna get greedy. They're gonna wanna throw the ball into too high, and they did it. And props off to Hugh Freeze and his staff for staying patient in that game and sticking to the run. Like I said, I just think Venables and that defense is more talented, and obviously is significantly more talented than Baylor, where they can say, eventually you are going to make a mistake. Eventually you are going to get greedy, and that's going to play in our hands. I don't want to, on the road or at home, put us in a situation to where we give up some shots down the field, because we can say all we want, like, oh, Jackson Arnold's a great runner. He's a great runner. He is a good thrower of the football. And he's shown that this year that he can get the ball to those big guys on the outside. I do not want to get killed like that if I'm Oklahoma at home.
I don't know, man. He's been 50% twice. I just show me, you know.
Okay.
That's what I would want to see. I would test it. And again, they know him, right? Like there was a reason there wasn't success here. Now, is that reason
That
around
wasn't
him?
all on
They weren't as
him. That was
good
not
as
all
they
on
are at
him. You
Auburn?
know it wasn't all on him.
Sure. But I'm just saying, prove it to me.
Alright,
That's what
let's
I
look at
would
the
do.
other side. Let's look at the other side. John Mateer has been tremendous, has put the ball in the harm's way.
Yeah.
He's a
Gunslinger.
gunslinger. He's got 3 INTs on the season right now. He's gonna throw some questionable footballs. But this goes back to the conversation we had before the game versus Michigan. It's gonna be the question we bring up every single game when they
Mhm.
go against good defenses. And I'm not saying Auburn is elite by any means, but they're really good. They're good up front. They got some talent. They're a little bit young in the linebacker position, a little bit young and green at the safety position, but still a good defense. And DJ Durkin is really good on that side. You still need to find a way to run the football without John Mateer running it 15 plus times.
Well,
And that is
do
still
you
my
though?
biggest concern for this offense.
So is your biggest concern with that just sustainability
Yes.
and health?
Yes.
I mean,
I think
look at
sustainability,
yeah,
health, diversity within the offense.
yeah.
It feels like if John Mateer doesn't if is off a little bit, the
Mhm.
entire thing fumbles. The
It
entire
could.
thing falls down.
It
That's
could.
my problem. You're putting all your chips
Yeah.
into John Mateer being a Superman, and maybe he is, but
Right.
being a Superman week in and week out against great defenses and good defenses, both in the run game and the pass game. And if he does that, then yeah, he's gonna win the Heisman.
Right.
Oklahoma's gonna have a chance to win a championship. But I just think at some point he's gonna have that off game where something's not gonna be perfect. And I don't know if they have plan B on offense yet.
Right.
They just don't have
Right.
that plan B.
It certainly is nice when you can have some additional support. I hear you, but I'm fine with running him. It's who he is. It's what he
Sure.
does, and he's
I think you have
compact.
to.
He's built. I don't want him hit a bunch though. Can we protect him? Somehow. With that, and is that necessarily not running in between the tackles? But I think if you ask him, I'm not comparing him to Haynes King, but I think if you ask him, he wants that too. Like he wants it on his shoulders. And I totally get it. It's the most important position on the field. So we don't want our guy taking 15 extra shots a game when we can really control that. But I also think it's who we are and it's what the offense is going to be. And it's why we paid him $1 million+ to come in here and to be this quarterback. So it just seems to me that's too good of a piece of his game. Now, if it's not 15, is it 12? Is it 10? Because I don't want to take that away. It's too good. It's too much of an advantage for us, for him to have that. But you're right. Who's going to step up? Is it going to be the young freshman that's leading them right now? Is it going to be Jaden Ott that, again, you paid a bunch of money to? We've thought for 2 years, Jaden Ott at Cal, now at Oklahoma, was going to be this revelation at running back. Somebody, grow up and help me out here. But I do not think you take that away. I don't think you hesitate, pulling the trigger, letting him run the ball. And, when you look at the interesting part about Auburn, you mentioned those linebackers and being younger and safeties, maybe less experienced. Put them in adverse situations. I want to stress those guys with RPO. I want them to either bite or hang out, and I'm running or passing based on what they do. I'm going to put them in conflict more than I'm not. And so, how do you do that? How do you dial it up? How do you put them in that situation? I think you try to take advantage there as well. So you figuring your offensive line out if you're Oklahoma. I have loved what I've seen from that left tackle. That true freshman is a freak, and he balled out against Michigan, has looked really good since then. That dude's going to be a top 5 pick whenever it's his time. We got some time with him. But just as he continues to grow, as they continue to grow and get healthy as a unit, maybe that helps the run game, by getting more
Hope so.
movement and just getting guys going.
So I'm leaning Auburn. I think Auburn's been on the road, went to Baylor, and you look at the numbers, you're like, oh, it wasn't a great game, but they held Baylor to 24 points. And that's a
Yeah.
great offense that's going to average in the 40s, mid 40s to high 40s with a great quarterback. Held them to 24 points in that game. I think they are multiple on offense. I do believe that Jackson Arnold is a good enough passer with a talent around him to warrant, hey, you got to be multiple and you got to be able to give me some single high. So I think that as a complete team on
Mhm.
both sides, I like Auburn. They've
Mm.
proved it on the road. And I still worry a little bit about Oklahoma and their offense a little bit being a little bit too one-dimensional. So I think it's gonna be a great game, no doubt
Yeah.
about it. I think it's gonna be 4 quarters of just just dominant offensive line, defensive line. Maybe not as explosive a game as maybe we would expect, but it's gonna be fun. But I think the Tigers sneak out a win on the road.
What do you so you're taking a money line. I hear you, big dog. I love that. Who do you give the coaching advantage to? Because what's interesting about this one, you got Freeze,
I
who's
would
the
give Auburn.
offensive guy calling the plays, and you've got
Yep.
BV, who's the defensive guy, and he's calling
Sure.
the plays. So who do you give the advantage to there?
I still question Venables, to be
Okay.
honest. I still think he's in prove it mode for me as a head coach. And obviously, Hugh has not had a ton of success at Auburn since he's been there.
Right.
He's been in some big moments and gotten close to slaying some giants at times. But I think he's got his guy. He's got his offense. They did a great job in the portal this year, bringing all the pieces that
Mhm.
he needed on offense to make it explosive. You've seen it through the first 3 weeks of the season. So I would say that I would lean a little bit more Hugh, just
Okay.
slightly in the coaching
Okay.
advantage.
Let's see. I'm going Boomer freaking Sooner. I think I'm not saying they roll. I think they win by double digits. And I think, like I said, I'm testing Arnold. Prove it to me. He's proved it to me. Like you said for BV, prove to me that you can get it to those great receivers. That's cool. You have them. Can you get it to them? And can they do anything with it? I think this Oklahoma defense is for real. I think John Mateer is for real. And I think there's too much, and especially it being in Norman. Maybe it's a little different. Maybe I would go Tigers with the points if it was on the plains there, but it's not. And I think that's going to matter.
All right, let's go to a spot that you are going to be at this weekend. Florida Gators with their tail between their legs at the moment, walking in
Go Canes.
to what you and I believe, at least I believe, is the most complete football team in America, the Miami Hurricanes. And we talked about it on our review show from week 3. If you haven't gone back to get that, go make sure you watch that. But we talked about how complete Miami is on both sides of the football, in the trenches, proving that they have receivers on the outside, then Carson Beck playing like the first round talent quarterback that we all know that he has the capability of playing like. This is an interesting spot. One team, a ton of confidence. Another team, like I said, tail between their legs. The essentially the door has been shown to Billy Napier. It feels like, unless some miracle happens this season. I just think I think Florida, if they can't get off to a fast start, EMAC,
Mhm.
it's gonna crumble and it could get ugly pretty fast
Yeah.
in this football game.
Yeah, and that's what we've seen from Miami on the other side. Blazing starts. I mean, they are
Yeah.
marching up and down the field in a hurry and doing it in a variety of ways with the run, with the pass, and it's been fun to watch. And you bring up Carson Beck. I mean, this guy. I think we'll see after this game, and then of course after Florida State. But he might be the best quarterback in the country, and he was that coming into last
Yep.
season. And things happen; it is what it is. But this guy is just I don't know, man. It's fun to watch. He's
Oh, yeah.
comfortable. He's happy. Feels like he fits in way better, and that's a part of that. And we mentioned earlier with the two quarterbacks for Auburn and Oklahoma, that is the beauty of this transfer portal is you have the freedom that you can try again. And I hate it when guys are bouncing around, 3, 4 times. But when you go somewhere, you do your thing, it's just not working. Okay, you
Yep.
get a pass. You get to go somewhere, and you get to go somewhere else. And we're seeing that work specifically with these first 3 guys that we're bringing up here. And Carson is just playing free. Looks like he has total control of
Yep.
this offense. And I think it's so funny. I revert back. I think you and I briefly touched on this in our preseason show. It was such a lazy dumb, quite frankly, take to sit here and say, well, how is this offense going to work with Carson Beck? He's not Cam Ward. And I just sat here and said, do you think that Shannon Dawson's going out looking for Cam Ward? There's only one of them. All
Yeah.
right. He's not looking for that guy. He wants a guy that can run the offense to a T, own the offense, call the right protections, get the ball where it's supposed to be. Check, check, check. That's what Carson Beck has been able to do, and he's done it at a super high level, and it's been fun to see that. We had questions about the wide receivers, stepped up immensely. What we didn't have question marks about was the offensive line, who I think is the best in the country. They played like the best in the country. They're not giving up tackles for loss. They're not allowing their quarterback to get hit. And the running game that has been amazing, led by Mark Fletcher, complemented by some other guys there, it's they're the total team. You brought this up 2 days ago. They have no weaknesses. There's nothing you can do that you feel good about. We can attack this.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
I think that's on full display for Florida. I think that's the nail in the coffin for Billy Napier. I think this game is so one-sided that it's
Ooh.
just not
You feel
and
like it's
it's
gonna
on
be like it was
ABC
a year
primetime.
last year? Miami beat the brakes off
Yeah.
them to start the
And
season
one
in the
in the
swamp.
swamp. Yeah. I think it's the same thing, and I think that's the last straw, and it's all over in
Yee! So
Gainesville.
Billy may not be he may be getting on a different plane home
Yeah,
is kinda what
yeah.
you're like,
Which stinks,
you
and I love Billy, but it
I
is
do
what
too.
it is.
I
It
think
is
everyone who's around Billy loves Billy and the person he is, the man he is, but at the end of the day, this is a win-loss business, and if you're not winning enough games and team feels like they're moving in the wrong direction, a change is gonna be made. So the question is, you lose to USF, you know, a really good team, a team that's gonna be in contention to be in the playoffs from the group of 5. Could the team rally with all the noise? And it seemed like defensively they rallied, and we hit on this too, like, yeah, they rallied defensively, but that was a bad performance by LSU's offense. Garrett Nussmeier was off. The
Hey,
ugly
easy,
pick
easy.
that just kinda
Brian
gave
Kelly might be
up.
listening. Easy. Careful.
Who?
Brian Kelly might be listening to
Oh, I
this.
know, he might be but it was not Garrett's best performance. To say, like, there is things to improve from LSU, we're not this is
For
not
sure.
trying to make the LSU thing, to where that team could become very complete, to where we're talking to them like them in the same vein we're talking about Miami, and I believe they have the weapons on the offense to be very good. It was just a really bad game by Garrett Nussmeier. I don't anticipate him to play that bad going forward. Was it partly due to Florida showing up and fighting and trying to get back some juice from losing to USF? Possibly too. But now you lost back-to-back games, and your quarterback, the guy that's supposed to be the best guy in the country, just threw 5 interceptions. What is the psyche of that locker room right now? And I just can't imagine that losing the USF, it's kind of like, "Let's band together." But when you play that bad against LSU and it's back-to-back losses, and now you're going into one of the hottest teams in America on the road, it's kinda hard for me to feel like they're gonna be able to band together in that same way.
Correct.
I think you try and do it once, you get knocked back down again. I just don't know if they can get off the mat again,
Well,
EMAC.
you
I
get
just don't think they
yeah.
can.
Yeah, you get knocked back and your best player and leader has the worst game of his life. Like,
Yeah.
that's tough, and that's a lot to overcome on top of all the noise. And listen, we can sit here and say, "Well, we don't look at it, we don't listen to it." You're gonna
Oh, they
hear it,
feel it.
and you're gonna see it from somewhere, and you're gonna feel it, and that is tough. And, it's almost like what we saw at Virginia Tech, man. Those guys are
Yeah.
playing ODU, a team they've never lost to at home, and they get waxed
Yeah.
because there's all this outside noise. And now listen, the interesting thing will be is once if I don't wanna be super negative, I hate being super negative. If Billy is removed, is that the galvanizing moment? That now it's literally us versus everybody. Like, nobody believes in us. Is that the
Uh,
moment that inspires you to play better? I'm not saying you do anything. I'm not saying you're a good team. I'm just saying, is that the moment? Because right now, I don't think that moment exists. I don't think there's
no.
any motivation to play together. I
Yeah, I don't know
think
how Billy
it's
motivates his team right now. I mean, what is he
right.
gonna say? Like,
I'm thinking
"Guys,
it's
like."
guys like looking, where can I go next? How many guys are in Lagaway's phone right now saying, "Hey, bro, let's get you here, get you out of that mess at Florida." I'm guaranteeing his phone is flooded, and all the other great
Oh, right.
players that are
But
at
I mean,
Florida.
he's got he last year, drawing like I think he threw a ton of picks. You chalk it up to young quarterback, freshman, making freshman mistakes, but the promise is there. But now you turn the page this season, and that's not corrected. He's still putting the ball in harm's way. He's still
Mhm.
turning it over. He's still making the same mistakes he made a year ago, and that's just not going to change in a week. It's kinda like when we talk about with Clemson. What you're putting on tape for the first part of the season, yeah, it can get better, but we're not gonna see, like, this huge jump in a week. Like, what he is and the mistakes he made, if you haven't gone and watched my quarterback breakdown, it's not little things, and it's not a small part of his game. There is a lot going wrong with his fundamentals, with
Mhm.
his eyes, and with his progression, and all that is not gonna get cleaned up from 1 week to the next, especially when you're going against a defense like Miami,
Right.
when you're going on the road, that place is gonna be loud, and it's crazy for me to say it, but I think you saw it in Notre Dame that the fan base showed up and they show up in a big
Oh,
way.
yeah.
I think they're feeling like, "Oh, the U is back. We have someone to cheer for.
Right.
We have this elite quarterback. We have elite playmakers on both sides." That is gonna be a raucous environment for a quarterback right now that's gonna be in his head.
Correct.
You don't sleep all week after throwing 5 picks.
Right. Right. And,
You're
and
you're
the
thinking about
interesting
that.
thing, like from a defensive perspective, what are we going to see from Heatherman? Because
Yeah.
I agree, there's going to be a ton going in his head. Do you just bluff everything, make him think even more, and then drop into coverage and let him throw the ball
I don't think
right
you
to
have
you?
to. I think you just play what you've been playing. I don't
Just
think
play
you have to do
base.
anything special.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he's making the mistakes. It's not It is rarely the other team on
Right.
film right now that is
Forcing the
causing
issue.
these mistakes. This
Yeah.
is DJ
Yeah.
playing bad football.
In that case, then that bad news. You got Ruben Bain and Akeem
Yeah.
Mesidor who are playing outside
Yeah,
of
but
their
not only you're
mind
thinking
right
like,
now.
"Oh, that's not throw make a mistake," you're also
Yeah.
like, "I'm going against Bane on the outside who may take my
Correct.
head off."
Correct. And hates you and like is switched, something in his brain of he's playing at a super high level. I'm fascinated to see this game. And again, I think that Miami, as we mentioned, good everywhere and has really improved on the defensive side of the ball and the steps that they're going to make. When you look at the spread only being 7.5, I'm thinking you hammer the Canes. Hammer the Canes.
Oh, I
Because
think you
think
hammer the
about
game
this,
too.
LSU played as bad as they
Bad
did
football.
offensively and won by 10.
Yep,
Miami's not making those mistakes. Miami's taking advantage. If they have 5 turnovers, they'll win by 40. Like
yep.
that's the type of game that this could equal out to be.
Yeah, I think you're anticipating he's not gonna have 5 turnovers again, but
I'm
you're
not.
also I'm anticipating Miami's offense to play significantly better than what we saw from LSU. And I think Florida's defense has been okay, but I don't think they're world beaters on that side. So
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think Miami gets up big. I think Florida fumbles, mentally, falls, and Miami gets a win very similar feeling to what they had a year ago in the swamp. All right, let's go to yours because a team that needs to get out of their own head and get out of this damn funk. Syracuse at Clemson. Syracuse got a pretty good quarterback that Notre Dame wished they had to hold a damn extra point this past weekend. But Clemson, you want to talk about negativity with Florida? There's a lot of negativity swirling around your Tigers right now, and you cannot escape it. And it is warranted because that team has not lived up to the promises that they were giving out this offseason. Um, we've hit it. Receivers, quarterback, trenches, nowhere near what we were expecting. And same thing, it's not going to just magically change in the fourth game of the season and everything's
Correct.
going to be hunky dory.
Correct. What if I tell you this, and this will come out maybe tonight. We'll see if I have time to do it, maybe tomorrow. What if I told you Georgia Tech was their best game offensively? Would you
It
believe
was
it?
their best game off. And
Isn't
I
that
said in our review
crazy?
show, I thought it was Cade's best game throwing the football this season.
And it pisses me off because still it's not enough. And then there's still more you can do. And there's still the fumbling and not taking care of the football and getting to the red zone and not capitalizing with touchdowns and turnovers and throwing that pick in the end zone there. So, it's when do you turn the page? And is it mid-October? Do we start to see this Clemson team be who we thought they'd be? Does it take Antonio Williams being back? Does it take Tristan Lee being back for them to be at full strength? Are they going to get the run game going? In the spurts that I see it, I love what I see. I thought you ran Cade too much. I didn't think you ran Adam Randall enough. And so, it's just this weird figuring out who we are for a team that's been together for 4 years. That's the weird part to me. Is this isn't a North Carolina, a West Virginia, a USC that has 60 new players. This is a team that's been together. And it's very odd why they're figuring that out. And listen, this matchup coming up, you've got a Syracuse team that feels really good offensively about who they are. They're putting up a bunch of points. They're throwing the ball all over the yard. Who they've been for 2 years, Steve Angeli has been great, and that
Yeah.
dude is
Oh, yes.
balling, throwing it up to his big receivers. I mean, what we've seen from Gill, like the Randy Moss type catch, just going over, snatching it away, and then running another 10 yards for a touchdown. I mean, those guys are playing really well, and they will embarrass you, Clemson, if you don't play to your standard. If these defensive backs, who Dabo Swinney is sitting and saying, these guys are soft, we can't do anything. They're not helping us right now. That's a potential top 15 draft pick in Avion Terrell over there. That's a part of that group. And so depth at DB was a concern going into the season. What are they going to do? I've got lights flickering over here. I'm talking too bad about Clemson, dude. It's going to get interesting. But what can they do? And I think offensively, what I mentioned about playing their best game, everything starts and finishes with Cade Klubnik. He has got to be the guy that we thought he could, that we saw last year. We saw instrumental growth and great things, and just getting the ball
Well,
out
I
to
thought
his
we saw some good
guys.
stuff last week too, Emac.
He's
Like,
done some good stuff, but it's not enough. It's not $3 million worth of good stuff. Like, that's where we are
he's getting paid
now in
3. He's
college
getting paid
football.
3.
That's just a guess. I don't know. I'm not on the payroll.
Ooh. Ooh. Um, Continue to run it if I'm Cade. I thought him running it allowed him to kinda get into the flow of the game. I thought he passed the ball that threw the ball the best that he's thrown it. I think the one thing that the interesting matchup a week ago against Georgia Tech was Georgia Tech has built their identity on physicality.
Yes.
Physicality, physicality, physicality. They out-physicaled Clemson in the trenches over and over and over again. And then obviously had the playmakers and the quarterback to make some plays in the passing game too. But I don't know if Syracuse has that physicality or the
Figured out.
mindset. That's not how that team built. So I think for Clemson, you were hoping that, okay, or Georgia Tech tries to play the same game that we play. We feel like we're just better at it.
Mhm.
Where I know Syracuse is not going to be able to play that physicality.
Correct.
So if there is a way of saying like, okay, let's get back to what we were building on for the season of offensive line's back. We have all these playmakers and NFL guys on the defensive line. You have to out physical Syracuse.
Yeah.
This is a game where you push them back, you get after Angeli, you make them uncomfortable in the pocket, and you don't give them the time of day to throw the football down the field.
You're correct.
That
Correct. Because
that's
they're
it.
gonna do that.
You get
They're gonna
you
throw it.
cannot. I'm sorry. Like this is where you have to draw the line. If I'm a Clemson fan,
Correct.
you cannot be embarrassed in the trenches at home against Syracuse.
For 100%,
You
100%.
cannot
And
be
again,
embarrassed.
we mentioned about the great players playing. Where's TJ Parker? Like,
Yeah.
I haven't heard his name on a broadcast. Like, you've got to be the guy, that we think and that you can be. And listen, they're gonna throw it. This good dude threw it 54 times against UConn.
Yep.
That means there's more opportunities to get sacks, get in the backfield. Like, this needs to be a 5+ sack game. What I thought we'd get from the LSU game and be a huge advantage point for the Tigers. And they sniffed him one time, and it was on a fluky whatever play. You have to be that team. And you have that. You have the personnel. You have the coordinator that was sought out by everybody. Kudos and raved by everybody. Go and execute. And what's frustrating, I think, the most is that, you hear from Coach Sweeney in press conferences, and he says, we're doing it in practice. We're doing this and that in practice. Well, it has to get to the field. It has to get to Saturday. And is this an opportunity? Sure. Do I think you're going to cover 17.5? Absolutely not until proven otherwise. So give me the freaking orange, and I'm dying sitting here saying that.
Yeah, I think Syracuse is I mean, I thought they got embarrassed versus Tennessee, almost got embarrassed versus UConn. We all remember them running wind sprints after the game. You took advantage and had a big game versus Colgate, but I still think who Syracuse is more of what you saw against Tennessee. So I think that the passing game has a chance for Clemson to be explosive. I think they're going to be able to get for the quarterback. So I think I'm somewhat leaning towards Clemson in the 17.5 points. My
Same.
last question to you about this before we move on to the next game, Emac, is it's a noon game. Will the fans show up and make a difference?
Yeah.
Will they 1 and 2 just lost an ACC game against Georgia Tech? Everyone's like, do the fans rally, or are they gonna kinda be a little bit quieter, a little bit slow showing up? Maybe there's a couple
No.
empty pockets in the stadium. Like, what's the, Death Valley number 2 gonna look like?
Yeah. All right. Big talk. Here's the thing. There ain't nothing else to do. Okay. Show up. Let's go.
Sure.
You know how it
Okay.
is. Athens, Georgia,
Yeah.
Clemson, South Carolina. That's it. This isn't Boston or Atlanta or California, LA,
Miami.
Miami. Like, this is it. This is what we do. And yeah, the Clemson family will be there. Now, the interesting part is how quickly are they upset? If Clemson goes 3-and-out on some BS, they'll be boo birds immediately. That'll happen. But yeah, no question. It'll be packed out. It'll be a packed out
Okay,
stadium. They'll
good
be
deal.
there.
Let's go to the Big Ten a little bit right now. A massive game out in Nebraska. Michigan on the road once again. Freshman quarterback had a little taste of it against Oklahoma. Now he's got to go to the Cornhuskers and see if he can make those improvements from his first big road game to number 2. Nebraska hasn't played anyone. I mean, no one. It is hard to judge what this team's going to be this year, EMAC, when you look at their schedule. Like, oh, they're 3-0, they're scoring all these points, but it's against Cincinnati, Akron, and Houston Christian, I believe, is the third one. So uh, it's really hard to digest. Has Dylan Raiola made these massive strides to where, it's 800 plus yards and 77% completion and 8 touchdowns? Like, I think he's good. I thought he was good a year ago as a true freshman. I think he is going to make these massive strides, but this is the game for him to prove it against Michigan in that defense.
Right. No, there's no question about it. And I think what is difficult about judging, teams when they do play such significantly lower opponents. And the thing that I look at is efficiencies. What are they doing penalty wise? What are they doing on third down? How accurate is their quarterback? And I'm feeling great about
Oh, yeah.
77%, no turnovers through the air, and something that they can build upon. Now, is it a different animal? 100%. And now we'll really know kind of if he's ready to take that next step. But I've loved the growth that I've seen. Love the ability to flick that ball downfield. I mean, he has such a strong arm. This is going to be awesome to see these two quarterbacks with big, big arms. How creative, is Riola going to get? Is he going to show us some of that Mahomes magic and crazy arm angles and things of that nature? Against a very physical defense of Michigan here. When you look at their defensive line, the two deep, Aaron. So we're looking at six guys because they have a 3-man front are all 305 plus pounds. Like those are huge, huge dudes. So you're probably not going to run it super effectively. I know you want to from a mentality standpoint, but a lot's going to come down to your QB. And is he going to be able to get that ball out? Same thing for Michigan. Nebraska's defense, I think they're very physical. Michigan has had great success running the football. Specifically last game, I think they had 10 rushing touchdowns or something outrageous like that,
Yeah, they didn't
which
versus
is
Oklahoma on the
crazy.
road, though. I mean, that's the thing that I still
Sure.
lean on is like
No question.
Oklahoma against that defense on the road.
Yeah.
You had the 75-yard run, and then other than that, it was pedestrian. But I mean, Oklahoma's defense, I think, is a step above where Nebraska is. So it's
For
kind
sure.
of not saying like that's going to be the same performance, but you do need to take some pressure off Bryce Underwood, where he's not feeling like he has to go out there and win the game. And is he capable of doing it? Maybe in the future, and maybe it is now. Maybe he just needed that one game on the road to kind of understand, like, this is what big time college football feels like on the road, hostile environment, understand the difficulties of calling plays, getting guys lined up, all of that. But it's still a lot for a young quarterback to go out there and have success when the run game has been inconsistent and was somewhat non-existent against a good team in Oklahoma, and the receivers are just still average. This is just you talk about supporting cast for quarterbacks and feeling like you out there and do your thing. We talk about with Oklahoma without the lack of running game, but at least Oklahoma has some receivers that they can win.
For sure.
Michigan doesn't have the receivers, and right now they don't have the consistency against the big boys to run the football. I just don't know if there's enough around Bryce Underwood where I feel comfortable saying, even though he's been on the road once so far, that he's going to make that massive stride against Nebraska to kind of be that Superman for this offense.
Right. And that's the interesting thing about freshmen is I do think we can see bigger jump from them, than older players because everything is so new.
Oh yeah,
He dealt with that environment that big, that ruckus, that crazy for the first time ever. And it wasn't a great day, and he did some things good, but overall, he was stretched very thin and put in, really particular situations. Like you said, I agree that Oklahoma defense significantly better than what he's going to see on Saturday. But to me, it's about the guys around him. How can they help him? How can they step up? How can we get easier throws? Let Bryce see himself making those passes, and then let's see his confidence really kind of
just get
ramp
him on
up
the
there.
move. He throws on the move really well.
Yeah.
Can you just
Just
give him
roll him.
easy
Yeah.
completions early? Um, and he's got to get a little bit better touch. Interesting thing in this, Sharon Moore is suspended for this game and won't be able to participate in
We got
practice all
Biff,
week
dog.
either.
I'm not worried
So
about that.
Biff,
We
baby,
got
let's
Biff.
go. You get Biff. I hope he brings out the gun show for this
Me
game.
too.
But it's weird though, like it's Biff all week.
I know.
So we talk about like the mentality of us against the world when you go on the road. We've seen Michigan obviously deal with coaches being suspended, different team, different year, different personalities, but they understand like it's just been a weird over the past 4 years of how many times coaches have been in trouble for Michigan. Uh, but not like this where the coach is not there for practice. How much of an impact is that, do you think, for Michigan getting ready for this game?
I think about that, man, and I think back to my playing days and like how much does the head coach do, Like how much during practice is he's bopping around, he's checking in on everybody, he's setting the
He's
tone, he
still your
talks to you after.
general. He's still the leader.
He's still the leader, but at the end of the day, the players are playing. The players are making the plays. It'd be a bigger deal if the quarterback's suspended for the week,
Yeah.
right? Than a head
I
coach
don't
there.
know.
So I think situationally, Biff got it. He's going to be fine. And again, lean on your players, make them happen. If it was, I don't know, maybe a different head coach, it's more of a big deal in my opinion. I think it's okay. I think they'll be okay.
Okay. All right. So we heard it here first. No worries. Sharon
No
Moore is
worries.
not coaching all week. Not going to make a big difference. I think this is a big coming out moment for Raiola. I really do. I mean, you had the addition of Dane Key in the portal. Really like what he was able to do at Kentucky. You got the players around you. You're in your second year. You know, we talk about Matt Rule year 2. Well, it's Matt Rule year 3, and I do think this is a better overall football team with an experienced quarterback at home, and a guy that's feeling himself a little bit too, regardless of who the talent is. So I think that this is a big statement win for Nebraska, and Dylan Raiola and his head coach.
Man, you are making some fun picks here. I love that. I'm going Michigan. I think bigger, stronger, faster wins. I think they are that. And we'll see. It's too many unknowns for me with Nebraska. As
Oh
we
yeah,
kind of
I agree.
started this game with, I've seen Michigan tested. I've seen them fight. Now, of course, they didn't win that, but I
Yep.
think they learned from that, and I think they can glean
I
some
don't think they
things
looked good in that game
to
though.
help them. They did. They did.
I mean, you
So
take away that 75-yard run, and then it's
right.
a ass whooping.
But it happened. We can't take it away. It
That's true.
happened. They gave it
It
up.
can't happen. Just like
Give
the
me
3rd and
Michigan.
22 for Clemson. Just it happened.
That's right.
All right, let's move on to back to the SEC. A team that I covered a week ago, Tulane, with a somewhat of a big upset
Hey,
against
how
Duke.
about you saying back to the SEC and then saying Tulane first? That
Yeah,
was great.
Tulane at Ole
Back in the
Miss,
day. Back in the day.
going to Oxford, and Tulane. I'll start with them first because that was impressive a week ago. What they were able to do with Jake Retzloff, and Retzloff's been there less than 2 months. I am just and it's the world we live in. We got to get used to. It's like the NFL. These guys are going to move around, maybe not in season like the NFL, but still, to get in there with the distractions that he was still battling from BYU with essentially getting kicked off the team, the suspension, to come into a new team, new offense, new grammar, new players to get used to, and play the way he's played this year, and then do that against Duke a week ago. Super, super impressed with him. I like him on offense. I like his ability to run the football. I like their defense. I like their secondary. I think they're fast. I think they can keep up with the speed of Ole Miss. But going back to their offense, Emac, I do worry that this is truly a one man show. Like
Mhm.
he is their running game. That's what they hang their hat on. And you look at the receivers, the best receivers, all 5'9". It's 5'9", 5'9", 5'10", 5'9", 5'9". They got good speed, but they're not super dynamic. Like this is all Jake Retzloff being mini Tim Tebow running the football, putting the
Yeah.
team on his back, but going on the road against Ole Miss, and while Ole Miss is not the same defense they were a year ago at all, at all. I mean, you're talking about a defense that gave up 115 yards to Taylor Green on the ground and 305 in the passing game last week. It's still a bigger, faster, more physical
Mhm.
defense than what you're going to have offensively, weapon wise. So I
Right.
do worry about that a little bit.
Well, and I think it's interesting because you've got a similar approach just a week ago. Like you've got the blueprint to score points from Arkansas and the things that they did, with their quarterback, moving him a lot, ran him 14 times, which is a big deal. And you sit here and say, can we replicate that? Can we give them issues with our quarterback running? And I think that's what you typically see when it is a bigger, badder, stronger defense. When you got that mobile quarterback across from you, it's a good little equalizer or
Yep.
something that you can build on and make some things happen. Now he could also be running around and get knocked out. Like, these
Yeah.
guys, they're looking for him and, try to do that as well. I'm more interested from the Ole Miss quarterback situation. Like, where are
Yeah.
you with that? And,
Yeah.
you know, what's going to happen there? You feel like, who do you feel better about if both guys are fully ready to go?
I think you got to go with Austin Simmons. Austin Simmons ready to go. He is extremely talented. I know he obviously did not play a week ago. I think maybe one snap, but I mean it was Trinidad Chambliss who was great. I mean it's for Lane Kiffin to know that your backup quarterback can go in there and play the way that he played gives you a lot of confidence for the season, similar to a year ago where your quarterback gets hurt, and then Austin Simmons comes down versus Georgia and scores a touchdown and really changed the perception of what that game could be.
Yeah,
So Trinidad's a great. He's played, so that gives you confidence too. He's played an SEC game against Arkansas. So if he is the guy, you feel good against him going against Tulane. But like I said, Tulane's really talented on the back end.
sure.
They're long, they're physical, they can run. Duke, the one thing that we've talked about with Duke all year is they got Mensa who can push the ball, who can create in the pass game, and they got speed at the receiving position. And don't let the score fool you. they beat Duke up
Yeah,
defensively,
yeah. I think
beat
that's
them
what's
up
interesting about
defensively. They
Duke.
got after them.
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row, the scoreboard not indicative of the game. Like, against Illinois, you're like, "Eh, I see what it is." Duke was right in that thing, it snowballed. Last week, it's a one-score game, but Duke felt like they were getting dominated. I mean, it
Yep.
just felt like
They did
Tulane
get
was whipping
dominated.
them. Yeah,
I
all
was right
game
there.
long.
I with my own eyes. Get their ass
So,
kicked.
with that said, I think Illinois, I think Tulane finds a way. I think they make it interesting. I'm not saying they
Oh,
win.
damn.
I'm taking them with the points. I think I could see them losing by a touchdown. Maybe there's a field goal late that keeps them within that something, but 11.5, I'm rocking with Tulane.
Yeah, I mean, I'll rock with Tulane with the points there too. I think Ole Miss wins the game.
Yeah,
I still think this Ole Miss offense and just football team in general is not where they were a year ago. If Austin Simmons is the guy, he's still coming off the injury. He's had some mistakes throwing the football this year. Like I said, I think Tulane secondary wise can match up pretty well to limit the explosive plays that Lane Kiffin's going to want to take advantage of. And I think Jake Retzloff is still going to be able to run the ball enough to eat up clock, keep possessions, get first downs. Um, but at the end of the day, Ole Miss is still bigger, faster, more talented.
yeah.
This is not like this is not Miami USF.
Correct.
I'll say that.
Correct.
Like, yes, Tulane just beat Duke, so it is somewhat of a wake-up call for Ole Miss. Like, hey, this is a team that is a good chance to be the representative in the playoff. This is a playoff caliber football team. They will be giving them their full respect,
Mhm.
but Ole Miss is not Miami.
Right. Right. I agree.
So I don't expect a beat down like we saw with USF and Miami a week ago. So Tulane keeps it close, but Ole Miss gets the win. All right, real quick, 2 games. Maybe we'll break these down a little bit more in depth come our Thursday show. But Illinois, Indiana, Texas Tech, Utah, Indiana, same feeling, man. They haven't really played anyone this year. You just don't know. You know, I like their quarterback, Fernando Mendoza. You get him from Cal. He's been really impressive to start the season. They got 3 running backs that all have over 200 yards rushing, but they haven't played anyone. And I think Illinois has been through the ringer a little bit.
Yeah.
They've been on the road against Duke, veteran team with Luke Maltmeyer, who's been terrific this year. I think that they lean on him and that defense. I think Illinois gets it done versus Indiana.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And the emergence of Hank Beatty, who was
Oh,
sick
yeah.
against Duke, like that was crazy to watch that in person. Just how he can take over the game in a magnitude of ways. It'll be interesting to see though, because I like the coaching staff at Indiana. I think that
Yeah.
they handle
They
business.
freaking win.
They win. Google it. They win. But you're right. There's something about the veteran piece. There's something about the hardcore stuff there. I think Illinois wins that football game and makes it interesting. Texas Tech, Utah is a fascinating game to me because you
Yep.
historically have a Utah team that is very physical, that has owned conference games and winning championships, playing in championships, and just how they are in kind of a hard nosed, gritty team. But I like this Texas Tech team a lot.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think their offense is fun. I love what Morton can do with his legs, but also he's a really competent passer. He's got a good arm, but placement to me is his biggest thing. Like he's dropping that thing in the bucket, to his wide receivers. Got a couple of really good running backs that are super fun. I think Jacoby Williams, he's a guy that, man, they use in such a variety of ways. They throw it to him. They let him run it inside, outside. He's their third leading receiver, super patient when he's out in space, allows, kind of that convoy, those big offensive linemen to get out in space, and then he follows them. And then the versatility that you have with Dickey and Carter, the tight end there, he's more of a 3-back. They'll put him at fullback. They'll put him at tight end, move him around. And he's a really competent, ball catcher as well there. I think there might be too much offensively Texas Tech has bring it to the table, even though they're traveling to Utah, which will be, it's a tough place to play.
Yep. I like Texas Tech. I agree. It's gonna be a tough place to play. So I like Utah. I like their quarterback as well. But I just think Texas Tech money pays, man. It pays well there in Texas. And they put together a pretty damn good roster. So I think they get it done on the road. Well, that's it for today. We'll have another special guest for our Thursday show. So make sure you stay tuned in, like, subscribe to make sure you stay on top of all the content that we're pushing out. Go follow us on social media, and we'll be back for more here on the Mac and Murray College Football Show.
Okay.